if the opportunity came, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking a chunk out of it. I want a piece of that blade.
This is the last chance I'm going to get at designing a Hypershock for a toy, so it had to be perfect.
They knew that they couldn't really go weapon to weapon, so they went weapon to side of weapon.
We hit the jackpot in Vegas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And I feel like this has been a long time coming to have Glenn Boxell on the show, as I've had Brian on a couple of times. But so glad to get the chance to finally chat with you. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be on here.
Definitely. Well, I'm curious to know. I assume, because I don't actually know the story, did you get into doing combat robotics because of Brian? Like, is that how you first got into it?
Yeah, it is. Back in his high school years, he did Bex Robotics, and he was his own team. So I ran him all over the Northeast doing competitions. Then he went off to college and he started getting into it. And he said, "Hey, Dad, I want you to come check this out with me. Come on down and see the tournament." I went down there, and then shortly thereafter, we got into it. He designed Caldera, the first Caldera, which didn't do so good. The first one was in the first couple of 2, 3 events, and it didn't do so good. It has some flaws. Then he redesigned it, and they gave me this one, and it has been doing awesome since. I've gotten to add my own little changes and updates and upgrades to it. It's been fun. And
Well, that's awesome. You certainly have taken a different approach than I have. Like my daughter is still very young, but I got into it first for the purpose of knowing at least a little bit, like enough to make sure that I can help her. Because
yeah,
I'm not giving an 8-year-old a soldering tool, like so.
no, I actually have done did RC car racing when I was in my 20s. And then we got back into it when he was 12 or 13. I started getting back into it and got him into it. So we knew all the soldering, all the CRC stuff and everything. And that just morphed into, now doing the combat robots, and I still do the RC racing every week. So
Yeah, those two things definitely go hand in hand. Now let's kind of talk about, the 3-pound Caldera, because obviously that was like the gateway into 12-pound Caldera. But kind of about the changes that you've made to it since Brian designed it in the first place, because obviously, like, it's been very successful.
yeah. Well, when he first gave it to me, and that we had like plastite screws holding the tops down and that. And I had a couple of fights where I took a couple of hard hits, one against Shredded Bro, and I think the other was one of the Silent X or Spring, I forget which. And it ripped it off and the batteries went flying. There goes that in. That's real fast done. So I came up, and now I'm using aluminum standoffs in between that I bolt the plates into, and they haven't come apart since. And then when the other one of the other changes on it that I think made a huge difference was the belt on the weapon would invert. It would twist occasionally in that. So I ended up putting some tension bearings in there and to hold the belt straight. Now, since I've done that, it hasn't done it since. So 2 major changes. And then I guess the next big change to it is I'm actually going to upsize my batteries on it. I've had a problem with my battery dying out before the fight ends, and that I lost too many fights that way. So now I'm upsizing the batteries in it.
Yeah, that actually happened to me, I think, the last time that I competed, as far as the battery is concerned. So I feel you on that one. Now, what, like, when you decided to make Caldera 12, what went behind like the decision to upgrade it into a 12 pound, and what was that process like for you?
Well, I was thinking about it all last year and everything, and with all the new 3 pound bots in the field getting so heavy and saturated, the 12 pound bot field was smaller. And it looked like, I could go compete with them. I just needed to do something. And for me, I wanted to see how the scaling up to a 12 from the 3 would work. It's actually worked pretty good. So
Yeah, I would say so. No, that's great. I'm also curious, just like as your journey as competing and stuff like that, probably from looking at how you first started out to getting to the point of winning a dumpster, which is amazing.
uh,
How did that feel for you? Because I mean, that had to be like a really great moment.
it was a great moment, but my biggest problem was I didn't think I won that fight. So I felt I don't know if it's been on film or anybody's seen it. I wasn't I didn't think I had won, so I was extremely surprised when I was announced as the winner. Zach gave me one hell of a fight that fight, and Caldera was not its normal self during that fight. So I was surprised. Uh, but it was one of the best things that I've been aiming to do in over the past 4 years. Brian got two, now I got one. I got to get ahead of him. I need more. I can't have him have more than I got.
Exactly. It eventually turns into a bit of a family rivalry at some point,
It
I
does.
think.
Yeah.
Now going from competing against each other, obviously like it's nothing's aired except for what we've seen so far, but I think just kind of talk a little bit about the experience of getting to do teams with Brian just as like a thing to do, but obviously without talking about like what happens because we still don't know what happens.
Um, the team's event, was fantastic. The kids at WPI have kind of allowed me to join them and taken me in, and so I am so proud of those kids and what they have done, and I am so happy that they have allowed me to join in with them, and we did very well overall. We had one bot that was still in its infancy and hadn't really been trial tested. That was Barbie and Ken. So that one didn't quite live up to par, but everything else took off pretty good.
Well, I mean, I think that those robots are pretty like tried and true, obviously, aside
Yeah.
from Barbie and Ken, even though I love the concept. I
But they
think
had
I
fun
think that
with
it's
it.
great.
Uh,
um another important thing that I really want to talk about, because I think that at this point, like, you've really developed like a reputation in the community for just being an extremely helpful and kind person, and just really there for any builder who needs it. I've seen it in my own server. I mean, I think that's phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure like that's just kind of who you are, but like talk a little bit about why that's important to you to kind of be that helpful person.
um, this is a sport that I really have gotten into and have really loved, and I want to be able to help anybody out there. I don't like to see people struggle, and have issues and that. I want to be there to help them and get through it. So yeah, I do try to reach out and make myself available to question. I may not be the best technical advice, but as far as how to get through the tournaments, what to do, when, where, and all that stuff, that's where I can really help out the most.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I also kind of wanted to talk about too, like, the great thing is that I think that you and Brian, even though like he's your son, you've both been able to really carve out like your place in the sport separately as like totally two individuals, but at the same time, like it has to be really meaningful in general for like you to be competing with him and also to see like the progress that he's made and everything that he's been able to accomplish in his
Oh
time in
yeah.
combat robotics.
Oh yeah. It has. It's been a great journey with him and competing against him. Now, we have not actually had a fight at NHRL together against each other yet. We we have fought twice now up at Caldera and Interruption have fought twice at Bot Brawl up in Toronto now. And both times Caldera came out on top. So we've had a great time and his growth and seeing what he's done and the way and I think Caldera and Caldera 12 can beat anybody and on any given day. Um, there could be a problem comes up that stops me, but I think they can take them down.
Trust me, don't I know it. It's funny because I'd been wanting to like bring this up to you for a long time, but back when I took my first robot that I actually built, I can't really like I can't give myself full credit for the previous time because I was not competing with a robot that I
Yeah.
built. But when I brought Poison Apple and I made the bracket, I fought Loophole, which was a fight that I knew I was probably going to lose. But if I had won that fight, I would have fought Caldera. And so, it was the whole time of
Okay.
me thinking to myself, okay, if I do win this fight, it really doesn't get any easier for me.
I wish you would have won that fight because I didn't beat Loophole. I lost the Loopholes. I wish you'd have won that one.
Yeah, it would have made it easier for you.
Oh,
I tried, I tried my best, but it's, when you're, I guess when you're new in the sport, there's a lot of lessons you have to learn, and that was definitely one for
yeah.
me.
Sometimes, sometimes the simplest thing is keep the bot as simple as possible and make it easier on yourself so you can get the repairs done. And there's also less to break. That's the one thing about Caldera. It doesn't break. I go back, change the batteries, and I'm ready. So
Actually, that's probably the one strength of the bots that I have. They are really well built and they're durable. They just haven't always done the things that I wanted them to do otherwise. So there's things to work on there.
yeah,
But I did also want to talk a little bit about, because like speaking of, kind of Brian's journey and how far he's come, getting to be a part of Fireball, the big Fireball, taking that to BattleBots. That's
yeah.
for people I think that are really well entrenched, obviously like he is in combat robotics and have been doing it for a long time, it doesn't seem like such a leap to kind of go up to a 250 and do the heavyweight type of thing, but like it really is a big leap to do
It
that.
is.
There's a lot more time and money that you have to invest in something like that.
Yeah, you got to get sponsorship and that kind of stuff to be able to even afford it. It is not easy. And he has done a great job. And again, it's the same kids we had with the Too Hot to Handle team, and it's all Fireball team. And Brian, and the kids have allowed me to join in, and I get to go out and have fun with them. And I just love it that I get to see this stuff because I wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise. uh,
Well, that is really, really awesome, that you've had that opportunity as well. Now I'm gonna ask the question that I'm sure a lot of people would ask, though, is that we have Caldera and we have Caldera 12. Is there ever going to be a Caldera 30?
I won't say there isn't going to be. Not in the next year or so, but I won't say never. Ryan told me you can't do it. And I'm saying, I don't know about that.
I mean, maybe it's like
Yeah.
you go to 12, you do well with 12. The next logical step seems like 30.
Yep. Yeah, and the Caldera 12 is just basically an upsized of the 3 pound. There's very little changes between the two. The same. It's actually all the same materials, same. Just taller, different motors and different ESCs.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it makes it nice that you have like a point of reference.
It did.
You know, rather than coming up with something completely net new.
Yeah.
You have that, and you can kind of figure out what's going to make sense for the larger iteration of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Uh,
yeah. Go ahead.
Caldera, Caldera 12. I did do all the CADing. I did do all the design matrix. Got my own motors. I did all that on my own for Caldera 12. I wouldn't let Brian help me. I had to own that one. Uh,
Yeah, hey, good for you, Glenn. That's great that you were able to do that for sure. Now, I'm curious, what is your like favorite part of competing? Because everybody I think has their own like reasons for doing it and what they like, but what is it for you?
um, there's really two parts. Going there, being with the people in the pits. I've made so many friends up there in that. But when you're at that cage and that bot, those hits, the adrenaline gets pumping, and it is such a rush. To actually do that. So I don't know which one's more my favorite: the rush at the cage and the fights, or the people and making friends and just hanging out with the people up there.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely understand that. All of that is a big part of, what I think excites most people. Now, speaking of like competing in events, y'all are having your own event, and I definitely want to talk a bit about that because I think that's really exciting anytime we get a new event.
Yeah. I Brian and I had briefly discussed the ideas over the past year. What if we could do this and that? So I finally broached the subject with the track we go do RC racing at. I go up there every weekend, and they said yes, we would love to. So then Brian's reached out to NHRL, and they're gonna let us borrow their two cages they had at Rochester. So we're gonna go bring those up, set those up out in the out on our dirt track. It's a nice flat space. We'll be able to get out there. Um, the driver's stand, people will be able to go up on the driver's stand, look down in and see what's going on, get all around. And they've got a 75 pit, workspaces, spots already there, powered up. So it's going to be really great for that. And it's really self made as far as being able to handle this because they know what to do with lipo batteries. They know when you got all that stuff taken out. If it gets too smoky, you got a big old garage door and a big fan that we can open up to clear out the space. So it's it's going to be great. And so far, the we are at 38 entries right now. And I expect us to hit the full 50 once NHL puts out who's in and who's out for the September event. Yeah, our we we had originally just planned on September 21st for doing it, with the NHRL being in August, and we said, okay, that's plenty of time. Then the NHRL changed it to 14th on us, and we're like, oh God. A 1 week isn't enough time for people to do one event to the next and come up. So we did push it out a week, and hopefully it works out. The place we're at, RC Excitement, has got tracks outside for crawler events and some off road, and they've got an indoor, and they're going to have an open house that weekend also. So we're going to have a lot of people coming through to be able to see this event and see what's going on.
Well, that's really awesome. And yeah, it's coming up fast, just like a lot of these
Oh my
events.
God. Yes, it is.
I feel like we had like a lull, like June happened and June was very busy. And then the month of July has just been, a little bit more low key. But September will be here before you know it. And there will
Yes.
be plenty of robot fighting again.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna be scrambling in August to get all their stuff together. Yeah, and then you got the Mass D one here at the end of August. So we will actually we looked at, okay, they moved there, so we'll move ours up to August, and Mass D announced, and we're like, oh geez. When are we gonna do this now? So,
Yeah, exactly. We've got G Scroll Championships in August as well as Mass D. So
yeah.
yeah, there's going to be plenty to do for anybody in the Eastern Coast area that wants to do combat robotics.
Gonna have a little bit of a large field to deal with, a lot of events. And I
Yes.
think we got Makerspace coming up here with their one down in Connecticut with their 1 pound here next weekend. So
That is true. So for anybody that has felt like something's been missing and they need more action, there's going to be plenty of action to be
yeah.
had very soon.
Um,
Now, I mean, it may be too early to say, but like, do you, if this event goes well, is this something that you plan on doing again in the future?
yes, this is our, yeah, we want to have one every so often up in New England area. And I guess maybe if this works well, we may have talked to Mass D a little bit more and work out who can do what when. I wouldn't mind having 2 or 3 a year up here and doing that, and getting some of the newer builders out someplace else other than NHRL, where they can come out and start seeing what it's like and see what the competition's like. um and I think it'd actually be great all the way around for everybody involved to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. There definitely needs to be, some different options out there just because I mean, like obviously I love NHRL. I've gone, several times now, but it's pretty competitive and, it can potentially be intimidating for somebody who is just getting started out and, feels like they don't know what they're doing yet. And it's good to have options of, places where other folks can go that maybe let them test things out and kind of get more comfortable before they take it to the next level.
And I say I've been to every NHRL event since 2020. And right now, Caldera and Shredded Road are tied for the most events attended at NHRL. If I get in one more, I'm gonna pass him.
Oh wow. Guess Evan's got to step it up and start coming
Yeah,
to more
he's got to get back in. He's got to
events.
get back into it. He stepped away for a little bit here. I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna take his total events record here.
Now, as far as events go, obviously like you're going to be at finals, for sure at this
Yes.
point. Is there any preparation that you've been doing for that?
Well, just getting Caldera 12 is getting some new parts on it, and made out some carbon fire weapon rails, and then getting some new batteries in Caldera 3 pounder. Those are the major changes. So
Yeah, well, I mean, they're great robots. I don't think that they need much more than they already have. So
well, the last event, Honeyfied got me. Uh, I had misordered my the weapon mounts, and I ordered two thinner ones, and I had actually tried to weld two together. He hit them on the bottom and split them, and it jammed up. It put too much pressure on the weapon. It couldn't turn. I'm like, no. So that was my own fault on ordering parts.
Yep, it happens sometimes.
Yep.
Well, no, that's great though. I mean, I'm sure that we're all excited to continue seeing you attend all of the NHRL events. I
Thank
mean,
you.
Caldera and Caldera 12 are just such amazing robots, and certainly ones that I think everybody is afraid to fight at any event that you come
That's
to.
that's
So
the key part right there. I've got my robots have the respect of everybody. They don't want to fight them. That's all you can shoot for, is having that respect of everybody in your community saying, I don't think I want to fight that. I might be able to beat them. I might not. And that's all I can hope for.
I don't know. I may come to regret saying this, but I actually really like fighting horizontals and feel like I've done well against horizontals, but Caldera isn't your average horizontal.
Yeah.
So,
The other one you're gonna have to watch out for now is Beetlejuice.
oh,
Beetlejuice is getting
yes.
some stuff together. I don't know. I don't know what they've done lately, but you're gonna have to watch out for that bot.
Yeah, Ariel has done a lot of work with that, and she is scary, and I think is going to continue to be scary for much time to come.
I think we're gonna have to get Caldera and Beetlejuice in the box to see who comes out on top.
Hey, there you go, Ariel challenge thrown. Well, we'll see if that ever comes to pass. I hope so. I think it would be a really good fight.
I think it
So,
would be too. Yeah.
well, for everybody that is watching this, please make sure that you continue to follow Glenn and Caldera and all of the amazing things that that he's been able to do with those robots, and make sure that you like, subscribe, share, comment on this channel and everything else, so that we can keep growing things on YouTube and beyond. And just thank you, Glenn, and I hope that everybody enjoys, and we'll see you next time on the show.
I thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I thank you so much.